Yeah, I mean, if you look at Tesla too, it's been up 17% since it joined the S&P 500 in late December. And that's bucking the trend. Usually what you see when a stock joins the S&P 500, you get a big pop, especially a stock like a Tesla or Facebook, Yahoo back in the day. And then they give it back once they're in the index after the excitement is gone and it's a show me story. But not with Tesla. That hasn't been the case. And I think it's really what you're seeing is investors chasing some of these stocks that have been hot. They're disruptors in their industries, and the expectation is for growth to accelerate once we get past the pandemic. And so I think that's what investors are really looking for. They like those growth and momentum trades.
Bitcoin hitting another all-time high, crossing $42,000 at one point today. The cryptocurrency up more than 30% this week alone. Earlier today, Bitcoin bull Bill Miller of Miller Value Partners joined CNBC and weighed in on the cryptocurrency's recent surge and where he estimates it will go from here.
One of the things that's interesting about Bitcoin is that it gets less risky the higher it goes. And that's the opposite of what happens with most stocks. Every day, Bitcoin's a supply-demand story. There's 900 new Bitcoins created every day. It's estimated that PayPal and Square alone are buying, their customers are buying all of those. And Bitcoin's total supply is growing less than 2% a year, and it's obvious by the price that the demand is growing much, much faster than that. So as long as that obtains, Bitcoin is likely to go higher and perhaps considerably higher.
Steve, I know you're constructive looking forward for the reasons you gave already. What if we did see the last two assets we've talked about, Tesla, which has doubled since early November, Bitcoin, which has doubled since mid-December? What if we saw them both correct to the tune of 20 to 30%, which is not unfathomable at all? Could that derail all risk-on sentiment that has been built up, particularly in the minds of retail investors over the last few months, indeed last year or so?
Well, if you divorce Tesla's impact and the fact they're a component of the S&P, I don't think so. I mean, look, Bitcoin, as Bill pointed out, he's a smart investor, and I own some Bitcoin. I own it through GBTC, which is a trust, so I don't have to go through, the machinations of paying 5% commissions. But it's a minority that owns Bitcoin. And we had these conversations going back years. What if FANG comes down? What if FANG corrects? What if Apple corrects? Is that going to hit the market? And that was a valuation that wasn't unreasonable. And the answer then was no. And the answer to this is no as well. I think everybody, if they're honest with themselves, who owns Tesla, realizes that the valuation makes no sense. Doesn't mean sell it. I think people realize that Bitcoin doesn't really make a lot of sense. There's no value there. There's no there. I own speculatively in a momentum trade. The reason I bought it is because last week the comptroller of the currency came out with some guidelines on stable coins, of which Bitcoin is not, but it gets them closer to maybe saying, okay, Bitcoin's okay as a currency. In my view, until you see stability in pricing and less volatility, you will not see Bitcoin as anything more than just, a whim and a prayer right now.
But I like how billionaire investor Chamath Palihapitiya put it, I think yesterday on CNBC. He said it's an uncorrelated hedge against untrustworthy national leaders. Lindsey, and what's interesting is that Bitcoin's rallying today along with the U.S. dollar. You might think they move in opposite directions because lack of faith in the fiat currency, that whole thing. How much are your clients asking about it, and what are you telling them?
Yeah, our clients are retail investors, so we do see an extreme amount of interest in Bitcoin. We don't offer the coins on our platform, but they are in the GBTC, like Steve just mentioned, and they're looking for different ways that they can play it through options for certain. So, the way we look at Bitcoin, I totally get what Bill Miller is saying. The demand supply story is right there. If you think about demand, financial services companies, they've been building out their product offerings around this for a very long time. The ecosystem is being developed. Payments companies like Square, PayPal, they're buying up, their customers are the ones buying up the new supply of Bitcoin, and retailers are starting to accept Bitcoin. So it's becoming much more mainstream and used, and the supply is obviously very controlled. So I can understand where he's getting his upside to the price target. But to say that there's less risk the higher you go, I think there still is a lot of risk This is an asset class and not a lot of people fully understand. Regulation is already starting. We've heard from FinCEN recently and the OCC this week. The OCC obviously saying that that banks can accept the currency. I think there's a long road ahead for Bitcoin for sure, and it's been a fun one to watch.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.